The rain started before dawn, not the loud kind that slams into windows and makes people run. No, this rain whispered. It slid gently down the studio trailer windows, soft and steady, as if it were trying not to wake anyone. Outside, the city was still asleep. The set crew hadn't arrived yet. The parking lot was almost empty, inside one small trailer. Ana de Armas sat curled up on a worn leather couch, knees pulled close, her script resting unread in her lap. She wasn't crying. Not yet, but her eyes were wet. It had been a hard week. Harder than most, not because of the filming schedule, or the stunts, or the interviews. She could handle all that. No, their hardest part was pretending she was okay. Nobody saw it, the smiles she gave in front of the camera, the polite nods to makeup artists, the quiet, almost invisible way she moved from scene to scene. She did everything right, and still, she felt like she was sinking. The role she had taken was demanding. Not physically, but emotionally. It forced her to reach into the deepest parts of herself, the ones she didn't like to talk about, the ones that still ached from old wounds. Yesterday had been the worst. One of the senior producers had made a comment. Nothing too loud, nothing she could prove. Just enough to twist her insides. Maybe someone else could deliver the scene better. It wasn't about talent. She knew that. It was power. It was control. She had no one to tell. No one who would believe her, or worse, dash care. She thought about calling her manager, then she remembered how that last call ended. Just ignore it, Ana. Don't ruin the momentum. Momentum. That's all anyone saw. The rising star. The box office darling. They didn't see the silence in between, but someone else did. Keanu Reeves. He wasn't in this morning's scene. Didn't need to be. On set until noon, but he had arrived early anyway. His car had pulled in without sound. No entourage. No assistant. Just him. Wearing a hoodie, coffee in hand, walking with quiet steps. As he passed by her trailer, he slowed. Not because of the rain, not because of anything he saw, but because he felt something. He always did. He paused outside her door, hesitating for just a moment. Then he knocked. Then he knocked. 2 soft taps. Ana didn't answer at first. She wiped her eyes quickly and cleared her throat. Yeah, her voice was hoarse. It's Keanu, he said gently. Can I come in? She froze. Sure. He stepped inside and closed the door behind him, his face calm, kind, open. I brought you something, he said, holding out a small paper cup. Peppermint tea. No caffeine. I thought you might like it. Ana reached out slowly, touched by the gesture. Thanks, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Keanu didn't sit right away. He looked around, then quietly moved a few scattered papers off the seat across from her. He sat down slowly, leaning forward with his elbows on his knees. Then he waited. Ana took a sip of the tea. It was warm, surprisingly warm. And then, without meaning to, her eyes welled up again. I'm sorry, she whispered. Don't be, Keanu said. You're safe here. She looked up at him. His eyes weren't demanding. They weren't searching for answers. They were just there, steady, like an anchor for a moment. She didn't say anything. Then the words came out, not in a rush, but quietly. Sadly, like water leaking through cracks. I don't know why I feel this way, she said. I'm supposed to be strong. Everyone thinks I'm doing fine. Keanu nodded slowly. But you're not. No, it's okay not to be fine, Ana. Her lips trembled. She looked away. Sometimes she whispered, I wonder if I even belong here. Keanu didn't answer right away. He leaned back, rubbed his hands together slowly, then looked at her again. You know, he began. When I first started in this industry, I felt the same way. Like I was just pretending to fit in. Like any day someone would figure it out. Tell me to leave. Ana blinked. She hadn't expected that. You? She asked softly. He smiled gently. Me. Even after the big roles. Even after. People knew my name. Sometimes the doubt never really goes away. It just gets quieter. They sat in silence after that. Not uncomfortable silence, just space to breathe. Then, Keanu said something unexpected. You don't have to prove anything to anyone today. Anna tilted her head. What do you mean? I mean, you're already enough, as you are, right now. Not when the take is perfect. When the critics like you. Not when everyone claps. Just you, sitting here, holding that tea. Tear rolled down her cheek. Thank you, she said. And she meant it. Keanu stood slowly, but before he left, he reached into his jacket and pulled out something small, a folded piece of paper. This helped me once, he said. Maybe it'll help you too. He placed it on the table and left the trailer without another word. Anna stared at the paper for a while before opening it. On it, in handwriting that was clear and simple, it read, Kindness is not weakness. It's the courage to stay soft in a world that tries to make you hard. Anna stared at it for a long time. And for the first time in days, she let herself smile. The rain kept falling outside. But something inside her had shifted. She wasn't alone, and maybe, just maybe, she was stronger than she thought. The next week brought a whirlwind of long days, night shoots, and unexpected pressures. Anna was working harder than ever. Not because someone told her to, but because something inside her had changed. She no longer acted out of fear. She wasn't trying to earn a place at the table anymore. She had realized something powerful. She already belonged still. The journey wasn't easy. The role continued to dig deep into her emotions. Each scene felt like a mirror to parts of herself she had kept locked away. Grief, fear, abandonment, strength, love. It all came up in layers. Some nights she went home and collapsed on her couch, shoes still on. Other nights she replayed scenes in her head, wondering if she had given too much or too little. The weight of being seen was unfamiliar and terrifying. One night, after a particularly grueling scene, Anna sat alone on the edge of the soundstage. Her makeup was still smeared, hair a mess, costume torn slightly from a physical sequence, but her expression was soft, tired. Honest, Keanu found her there as he often did. He didn't speak right away. He just sat beside her, legs stretched out, resting his arms on his knees. You know, he said finally, sometimes we give so much to a scene, we forget to hold something back for ourselves. Anna turned to him, curious. You mean protect ourselves? He nodded a little. Acting is giving, but healing is remembering to refill. She looked at her hands, resting in her lap. I don't know how to refill yet. Keanu gave a gentle laugh. That's okay. Neither did I for a long time. So how did you learn? He tilted his head, thinking. By watching the quiet moments. Noticing when someone brings you tea. When a friend shows up without asking why. When the wind feels soft on your face. Small things, they add up. Anna thought about that. She had been so focused on being strong, or on performing, on surviving, that she had forgotten to notice the good. She nodded slowly. I think I'm ready to start noticing. Keanu smiled. Then you're already healing. Just then, a member of the crew approached with a clipboard. Keanu, they need you on stage 6. Prep run for tomorrow's setup. He stood and nodded, on my way. Before he left, he looked down at Anna. You don't have to do this alone. You know, she smiled. I know. The following morning brought an unexpected surprise. Anna arrived to find a note taped to her trailer door. No name, no fancy envelope. Just folded paper and soft handwriting. For when it gets loud inside, your head step outside. Find the sun. Remember, you're not the noise. She unfolded it slowly and read it twice. The corners of her mouth lifted. No. Signature. But she knew it was Keanu. She carried that note with her into the rehearsal room, where the director had asked her to prepare for an intense emotional monologue. It was the turning point of her character. It's the moment where everything broke and rebuilt. Anna walked in with a steady breath. Keanu wasn't in the scene, but he was there, watching quietly from the side. The rehearsal began. Anna stood alone in the middle of the set, lights dimmed. Camera assistant whispered, rolling, and she spoke. Not lines, not dialogue, but truth. Pure and raw. I don't want to be invisible anymore. Her voice trembled. I'm tired of pretending that silence is strength. Her hands shook. And if you see me fall, don't look away. Because I've been falling for years, and no one ever noticed. The room was silent, not even a breath from the crew. And when it ended, no one clapped. No one moved. They just stood still, touched. The director finally whispered, "We don't need another take." Anna walked off the set, heart pounding. She didn't look at anyone. She kept walking until she was outside under the open sky. Keanu followed, as if he knew she'd need him there. He found her standing under a tree, his arms crossed, staring at the sky. Was it too much? She asked without looking. It was perfect, he said softly. She turned to him, eyes wide and vulnerable. I didn't know I had that in me. We never do, he replied, until the moment we let go. Anna looked at the ground. It scared me. It's because it mattered. He stepped closer, his voice gentle. Anna, the reason people are drawn to you, it's not because you're flawless. It's because you're real, and the world is starving for something real. Those words hit something deep inside her, and for the first time in her career, she wasn't afraid of being seen. She was grateful. The next few days moved quickly. The set became more alive. People smiled more. Tension felt lighter. Even the crew, once too busy to talk, started stopping too. Share kind words or bring a snack. She hadn't changed who she was, but something had shifted in how they saw her. Respect came. Not from loud demands, but from quiet. Consistent truth. Then came the wrap party announcement. The movie was almost finished. 2 more days of shooting, and then it would all be over. Anna should have felt proud instead. She felt something else. Sadness? Not. Because the work was ending, but because this space, this strange little world where she found safety and kindness, was about to disappear. What would happen when the lights went off? Would she still feel strong? Would people still care? The last day of shooting was set on location. A wide, empty beach just outside the city. The sky was gray again, wind in the air, seagulls calling in the distance. Anna stood barefoot in the sand, dress flowing, waves licking the edge of her toes. This was the final scene. No dialogue. Just her staring at the ocean, letting go. The director called action, and she breathed. Eyes closed, face to the wind. She remembered everything. The pressure. The fear. The cruel words. The kindness. The hot tea. The note in her pocket. The quiet voice that reminded her she was enough. And she smiled. It was small, but real. The camera caught it. The softness, the strength, the healing. Cut. And just like that, it was done. Keanu walked toward her across the sand, his coat billowing. Slightly in the breeze. Didn't say anything at first. He just stood beside her, hands in his pockets. They watched the waves together. Then he asked, "How do you feel?" Anna turned to him, tears in her eyes. But this time they were not from sadness. "Free," she said. Keanu nodded. The best kind of ending. She looked at him, heart full. "Thank you," she said, "for seeing me." His voice was quiet. "You saw yourself. I just reminded you." And they stood there, side by side, the waves rising and falling like the breaths they had both learned to take again. The next morning, Anna arrived on set earlier than usual. She didn't know why. Maybe it was the way the tea warmed her the day before. Maybe it was the note Keanu had left. Maybe it was just the feeling of being seen, finally, after days of moving. Through shadows, she clutched the small folded paper in her pocket as she walked. The words were etched in her mind now. Not just words, but a lifeline. The lot was mostly empty again. The sky was gray, and the trailer stood silent like parked ships waiting for their crew. She passed Keanu's trailer and paused. The door was shut, lights off. He wasn't here yet, but his presence lingered. Anna walked quietly to the makeup room, where only the early crew had started setting up. The makeup artist smiled softly, clearly surprised to see her so early. "You okay, Anna?" She asked. Anna hesitated, then nodded. "Yeah, better. As she sat in the chair, her eyes found the mirror. For the first time in days, she didn't look like a stranger to herself. There were dark circles under her eyes, sure, and a quiet sadness that still lived somewhere behind them, but there was also a steadiness, something real. The shoot began later that morning, and her first scene was intense. She had to cry on camera. The director warned her it would be a tough one. "Don't fake it," he had said bluntly. "Dig deep." Anna didn't answer. She didn't need to. The camera rolled. The lights felt hot on her skin. The set was quiet, except for the faint hum of equipment. Her co-actor stared at her from across the scene, his line hanging in the air, waiting for her reply. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Not yet. Instead, something inside her cracked open. Not because she forced it, but because it was already there. The pain, the fear, it's a feeling of not being enough. It had lived inside her for too long, and now, finally, it came out. Real tears fell. Not just from acting, but from truth. The scene ended. The director stood frozen. The crew didn't move. Then slowly, someone clapped. "Just one pair of hands, Keanu." He had entered quietly, standing at the back of the room. Arms crossed, a soft expression on his face. His clapping was slow. Respectful, not to embarrass, not to make a show. Just enough to let her know she did something powerful. Anna blinked through the lights and wiped her eyes, breathing hard. After the shoot wrapped for the morning, Keanu found her outside by the catering table, still holding the water bottle someone had handed her after the scene. "You okay?" he asked. Anna nodded. I really let go in there." "You did. It felt real. Almost too real." Keanu smiled gently. "That's when the work is honest." She looked up at him. "How do you do it? How do you stay kind even when everything feels so heavy?" His smile faded into something more thoughtful. "Because I know what it feels like," he said. "To be crushed by silence. To be judged before anyone knows your heart. The world can be loud and cruel, Anna. The only way I've found to survive is not to become it." She didn't say anything at first, just nodded slowly, letting the words settle inside her. Then something strange happened. One of the assistants walked past them with a clipboard, looking rushed. She barely acknowledged either of them, muttering something about a call sheet error and needing to fix it before the next block. Anna turned to Keanu. "She looks overwhelmed." Keanu looked in that direction too. "She probably is," he said. Without hesitation, he walked toward the assistant, gently asked if she needed help, then offered to wait while she reprinted the forms. She looked surprised, then smiled, almost in disbelief. Anna watched from a distance. It was such a small thing, so normal, yet no one else had done it. That was the thing about Keanu. His kindness didn't shout. It didn't perform. It just showed up, even in moments that didn't seem to matter. And that's when she realized he didn't just offer kindness when people were broken. He offered it always, because he never assumed what people were carrying later that day. During a short break between scenes, Anna sat near the props trailer, flipping through her script. A shadow fell across her page. She looked up. It was the producer, the same one, who had made that cruel comment 2 days ago. He smiled at her, too wide. "Anna," he said, "I saw the dailies. You really brought it today." She nodded slowly, unsure how to respond. "Keep it up," he said, his tone slightly sharper. "You're finally getting where you need to be." Then he walked away. Anna's chest tightened. Finally getting where I need to be. She had already been there. She always had. They just hadn't seen her. She turned back to her script, heart racing, was trying to shake it off. Then Keanu sat beside her, holding a small plastic box. "I brought snacks," he said. She laughed softly. "You always bring something. The important stuff." They sat in silence, sharing crackers and apple slices. Then, without looking at her, he asked, "What did he say?" Anna looked at him, startled. "The producer." I saw his face. I know that kind of smile. She swallowed. "He said I'm finally getting where I need to be." Keanu didn't react right away. Then he said something that stayed with her forever. "You don't owe your power to his approval." Keanu blinked. "He doesn't get to decide when you arrive, Keanu. You're already here." The only thing he sees now is that he can't stop it anymore. She didn't respond. She just stared at him. Something inside her cracked again, but this time, it didn't hurt. It made her feel free. For the rest of the day, her scenes flowed. Not perfectly, but honestly. She didn't push herself to be impressive. She just showed up as she was. Somehow, that was enough. As the sun set behind the studio lot, Anna stood by the edge of the soundstage, watching the sky turn gold and orange. Keanu joined her again, this time holding 2 cups, not tea-hot chocolate. "Thought we could celebrate?" he said. "Celebrate what? You making it through the day?" She took the cup and smiled. "That's worth celebrating? Every day you don't give up is—" Anna looked at the sky, then back at him. "I wish more people thought like you." Keanu didn't answer. He just smiled and sipped his drink, and in that golden moment, as laughter floated from distant trailers and the sky darkened, Anna felt something return. Not fame, not confidence. Something better. Hope. The wrap party was held 2 nights later, in a quiet rooftop venue overlooking the city. The sky was clear, and soft music played under strings of golden lights. Laughter echoed between glasses and hugs. The production crew, the actors, the assistants, they were all there, or dressed up, smiling, trying to let go of the long, emotional journey they had just completed. Anna walked in wearing a simple black dress, her hair tied back. She wasn't trying to make a statement. She had no interest in being the center of attention. She just wanted to see the people who helped her stand again as she moved through the crowd. People greeted her warmly. "You were incredible. Your performance changed everything. I'm so proud of you." Every word felt like a brick being lifted from her chest, but there was still one person she hadn't seen. Keanu. She looked around, searching gently, without trying to make it obvious. He wasn't at the bar. Not near the buffet. Not on the couches near the fireplace. She stepped outside for a moment, onto the edge of the rooftop, where a railing looked out over the glowing city. And there he was, leaning on the railing, sipping something from a small glass, dressed in a dark blazer and jeans, face calm, peaceful. She stepped beside him. "Hiding?" she asked softly. He turned with a smile. "Just breathing." Anna smiled too. "You missed half the toasts. I've heard enough speeches to last a lifetime." They stood side by side, watching the lights twinkle below them. "You were amazing in this film," he said suddenly. She looked at him. "You think so?" "I know so. I wasn't sure I could carry it." "You didn't carry it," he replied. "You became it." Anna's eyes softened. "I still don't know how to deal with all of this attention." "Me wants to disappear again." Keanu nodded. "I get that. But disappearing doesn't protect you, it only hides you. So what do I do? Stay visible, but stay real." She looked out at the skyline again. The city seemed so big, so loud, and yet here, on this rooftop, everything felt still. Gentle wind passed through her hair. "Do you ever get tired of being kind?" she asked quietly. Keanu raised an eyebrow. "Not tired," he said. "But sometimes I get lonely." Anna tilted her head. "Kindness," he continued, "isn't always returned. It's not always noticed. Sometimes it even gets misunderstood. But I've learned that being kind isn't about how others respond. It's about who you choose to be." Anna's eyes glistened. "That's harder than it sounds." He nodded. "That's why it matters." Weeks passed. The film entered post-production. Anna traveled briefly for a photo shoot and returned home to rest. She stayed quiet on social media. No red carpets, no interviews, just silence. But inside, her thoughts weren't silent. She thought about the roles she had played, the voices she had imitated, the emotions she had borrowed. But more than that, she thought about the version of herself she had become on that, set someone softer and stronger. A letter came in the mail one morning, not email, not a text. A real letter, with handwriting. It was from Keanu. "Hi, Anna. I hope you're breathing. I hope you're eating well. You gave something honest to the world, and now you deserve something honest back. Rest, smile, walk barefoot somewhere. You're not lost. You're just becoming." She held the letter against her chest. She didn't cry, but she almost did. A few days later, a small charity event was being held in Los Angeles. It wasn't a big gala, no flashing cameras. Just a quiet fundraiser for underprivileged film students. Anna showed up, not expecting much. But when she entered the hall, she froze. Keanu was already there, not speaking, not posing. Standing at the edge of the crowd, helping a group of students set up folding chairs. He hadn't seen her yet, and in that moment, she realized something. His kindness wasn't reserved for special moments. It wasn't just for broken hearts or sad eyes. It was part of his rhythm. It's part of how he walked through the world. And she wanted to be like that too. She approached him quietly. He looked up and smiled. "You came. You wrote me a letter." She said, "I wasn't sure you'd read it. I read it twice." He chuckled. "You okay?" "I'm figuring it out," she said. "Good." They spent the evening helping students sort equipment, move tables, and talk about their dreams. Anna found herself surrounded by young people who still believed the world could change through stories. It moved her. "They remind me of who I used to be," she whispered to Keanu as they stood by the snack table. "And who you still are," he replied. A student approached them nervously. "Sorry to bother you," she said to Anna, "but your performance in that film, it made me feel seen like ... like it's okay to be soft." Anna's voice caught in her throat. She took the girl's hand. "It is okay," she whispered. "It's more than okay. It's beautiful." The girl's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." After she walked away, Anna looked at Keanu, her heart full. "You were right," she said. "Kindness matters, even if no one sees it right away." Smiled. "Kindness," he said, "is like planting a tree. You may never sit in its shade, but someone will." Anna laughed softly. "You always sound like a monk. I once played one in a movie." She shook her head, smiling as the night ended. The crowd thinned. The chairs were folded, the lights dimmed. Keanu walked her to her car. "What's next for you?" he asked. "I don't know," she said. "But I think I want to choose stories that heal, not just entertain. That's the best kind." "What about you?" he shrugged. "Probably something weird and quiet, you know me." Anna reached into her coat pocket and pulled out a small card. She handed it to him. On it were 4 words. "You reminded me how Keanu looked at it, then at her. How what? How to feel safe in this industry. How to be kind without apology. How to not shrink." He folded the card and placed it in his coat. "Thank you, Anna," he said quietly. They stood for a moment, neither wanting to leave. Then finally, Keanu opened her car door. "Drive safe." "You too." As she pulled away, Anna looked in the rearview mirror. Keanu stood under the street lamp, one hand in his pocket, the other holding her card. She didn't know what would come next, but she knew who she was now, and she owed part of that to the man who chose kindness exactly when she needed it most. Anna didn't expect the film to become a phenomenon. She thought it would quietly come and go. Maybe some critics would say kind things. Maybe a few fans would send warm messages. But she wasn't prepared for what happened when it premiered. Within 48 hours, her monologue, "Scene," had gone viral. Not because it was dramatic, but because it was real. It was the kind of raw honesty people didn't expect anymore in movies. Thousands of comments flooded the internet. People from different countries, different lives, saying the same thing. "This made me feel seen. I cried and I didn't know why. Thank you for being brave." Anna read the messages slowly, carefully, one by one. She stayed off camera. Didn't post about the film. Didn't give interviews, not yet. Instead, she went for long walks. She sat by the ocean. She wrote in her journal. One morning she made a quiet phone call. "Hi," she said softly. Anna Keanu's voice replied, calm as ever. "No." "Are you holding up the worlds louder than usual?" He chuckled gently. "It tends to be. Can we talk? I'm already on my way." They met at a small coffee shop tucked away in the hills, the kind of place where no one asked for selfies and the chairs didn't match. Anna arrived first. Sitting at a wooden table near the window, Keanu walked in minutes later, wearing a beanie and a hoodie. No one looked twice. He slid into the seat across from her, holding 2 cups. "I ordered for you," he said. "You always do." They sat in silence for a moment, sipping tea. Then Anna exhaled deeply. I don't know what to do. With all this attention, you don't have to do anything, but people expect something. People will always expect something, he said softly. But you don't owe the world a performance. You only owe it truth. Anna looked down. What if I'm scared again? Then be scared, he said. But don't let that fear convince you that you're not ready. I don't feel ready. Keanu leaned in, his voice quiet. Anna, ready doesn't feel like confidence. It feels like courage. She blinked slowly, then nodded. Double quotes, I think, she said. I want to. Speak, not for the press, not to sell anything. Just to thank the people who saw me. Keanu smiled. Then let's make that happen. A week later, Anna posted a video online. No lights, no makeup, no background music. Just her, sitting by a window with morning light on her face. Hi, she began. I didn't expect so many people to watch that scene, to feel it, to carry it with them. I filmed that moment on a day when I almost gave up, but someone reminded me to keep going. She paused. Double quotes, Keanu, thank you for being that someone. And to everyone who messaged me, your kindness came back to me like waves. The video ended simply, quietly, and the world responded. Not with noise, not with gossip, with gratitude. Her video was shared millions of times, not because it was polished, because it was human. Anna began receiving invitations to speak on panels about vulnerability in acting, about emotional safety on set, about silent kindness. One event in particular stood out, a youth arts workshop where young aspiring actors, many from underrepresented backgrounds, were invited to learn and share. Anna agreed instantly. What she didn't know was that Keanu had already been supporting the workshop behind the scenes for years. When she walked into the venue, she saw him first. He was helping a student fix a broken prop with duct tape. She shook her head, laughing softly. You really don't stop. Keanu stood up, smiling. I figured you'd be here early. They told me you were a mentor here. He shrugged. I just show up. Anna looked around at the students rehearsing, laughing, helping each other. You've built something here, he said gently. They did. I just kept the door open. Anna stared at him for a moment. Do you ever realize what you are to people? A guy with duct tape? She laughed. You're more than that, maybe, he said. But I don't need to be. That day, Anna gave a short talk. She stood in front of 20 young actors, most of them looking up at her with quiet hope in their eyes. I used to think strength meant being silent, she said. But now I know strength means being seen and staying kind anyway. She paused. You don't need to be loud to matter.
No, you don't need to be perfect to be powerful. You just need to keep showing up, even on the days when you feel invisible.
Student raised her hand. What do you do when no one believes in you? Anna looked at her, then glanced at Keanu sitting quietly in the back of the room. You believe in yourself, she said. And if you can't do that yet, find one kind. A person who sees you. Sometimes that's all it takes. The girl nodded slowly, her eyes wet. Anna stepped off the stage and sat with the students for the rest of the afternoon. She didn't try to impress anyone. She just listened, and slowly, something inside her began to feel whole again. Later that evening, after everyone had gone home, Keanu and Anna stood outside by the street. The stars were out. The air was cool. You were incredible, Keanu said. I just said what I needed to hear years ago. He nodded. You know, she said. Looking up at the stars, I think kindness is louder than people think. It echoes. It stays. It does, he said. It stays in ways we never see. Sometimes, she added, it shows up just in time. Keanu looked at her, his voice low. Like the day I knocked on your trailer door. She smiled. Exactly like that. They stood quietly for a while, watching the wind move through the trees, the world calm around them. And then Anna reached into her bag and handed him a small wrapped package. What's this? He asked. Something small, she said. A reminder. He opened it. Inside was a simple bracelet, hand-woven with one word stitched in black thread. Stillness. Keanu held it carefully. You once told me kindness was staying soft in a world that tries to make you hard, she said. This is for that softness. For the stillness you carry even when everything feels loud. He looked at her, deeply moved. Thank you, he whispered. You reminded me who I could be, she said. You became it, he replied. And in that quiet moment, no cameras, no applause, no scripts, they just stood there. Two people who had seen each other, helped each other, and changed together. It had been 6 months since the film's released. 6 months since the monologue that reached millions. 6 months since Keanu knocked on Anna's trailer door without asking questions. It changed everything. Anna had just returned from a short trip to Europe, not for work, but for stillness. The kind Keanu talked about. She visited old bookstores, quiet museums, and small cafes where nobody knew her name. She didn't wear makeup. She didn't carry a schedule. She just breathed. When she got home, there was a box waiting for her at the front door. It had no return address. Inside was a book. It wasn't new. Its cover was cracked, pages soft from being turned over and over. Inside the front flap, written in simple black ink, were the words, "To Anna. For every time you choose gentleness instead of fear. For every voice you help lift. Keep walking." She didn't cry. She smiled and held the book to her chest. A few weeks later, she was asked to present an award at a major international film ceremony, not for herself, but for a new actress who had captured hearts with her raw and honest performance. Anna hesitated at first, but Keanu always gave her the nudge she needed. "You're not stepping back into the spotlight," he said.
You're passing the torch.
The night arrived. The room was filled with faces she'd only seen in magazines and movie posters, flashing lights, whispered names, red carpets and high heels, but Anna didn't feel nervous. She felt calm. Her dress was simple. Her smile was soft. And in her hand, she carried the speech she had written, not as a performer but as a person. When her name was called, she walked to the stage, stood at the podium and looked out at the room. Then she said, "I'm not here tonight because I did something extraordinary. I'm here because once someone saw me when I felt invisible, and he didn't fix me. He didn't speak over me. Just stood beside me." The room grew still. Kindness doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's a knock on a trailer door, a cup of peppermint tea, a folded note on a table. People in the audience began to nod. Anna continued. To the artist still wondering if they're enough, this is your reminder. You are. Not because of the awards or the headlines, but because you show up again and again, and you do it with heart. The applause was quiet at first, then stronger, and as Anna walked off the stage, she saw him, Keanu, standing just off to the side. Out of the spotlight, exactly where he felt most comfortable. He smiled and nodded once, and that was all she needed. After the ceremony, they didn't go to the after party. They drove up the hill instead, to a quiet overlook where city lights glittered far below and the wind hummed through the grass. They sat on the hood of the car, sharing a sandwich they picked up on the way. You always run from the cameras, Anna teased. I don't run, he said. I just walk in a different direction. She laughed, resting her head back against the windshield. Do you ever wonder, she said, how many people feel seen because of you? Keanu looked up at the stars. I don't count, he said softly, but I hope they pass it on. Anna closed her eyes for a moment. I think that's what kindness really is, she whispered. Not a destination, it's just a direction. They sat in silence. Above them, the sky stretched wide and endless. Below them, the world buzzed and moved. But in this space between, there was peace. Anna turned to him. Do you remember that day? When you knocked on my door, he nodded. Double quotes. I was falling apart, she said. And now I'm still learning. But I'm not afraid to fall anymore, he smiled. That's all any of us can do, he said. Anna reached into her coat pocket and pulled out something small, a folded piece of paper. She handed it to him. What's this? A reminder. He opened it slowly. On it were the same words he had once written to her. Kindness is not weakness. It's the courage to stay. Soft in a world that tries to make you hard. But underneath that, she had added one more line, and the courage to help others stay soft too. Keanu looked at the paper for a long time, then folded it again and placed it in his pocket. He didn't say thank you. He didn't have to. Some words didn't need repeating. They just needed remembering. Months later, a behind-the-scenes documentary was released about the film. It wasn't about fame or red carpets. It was about healing, about silence, about kindness, and in the final minutes of the documentary, a quiet voice spoke over a montage of scenes. Sometimes, the most powerful people in the room are the ones who choose to listen, who offer a hand instead of a spotlight, who remind you that strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers. And sometimes, ... it knocks gently on your door. And as the screen faded to black, two names appeared side by side, Donna de Armas, Keanu Reeves, below them, in small letters. 4. Choosing kindness when it mattered most.